So we're at quite a busy junction here. Just ended pretty fast. Jesus Christ. This thing can move. You can kind of feel the weight by the way it accelerates because it kind of haunches down and the front kind of lifts up. But otherwise the engine is more than adequate. It has plenty of power. It can really, really move you fast from a standstill. That's quite impressive, really. So we're going to put it into sport mode. That was sport mode, but we'll put it into manual as well, and we'll start using the gears and see how they are. The gearbox feels really fast though as well. It's an 8-speed, not dual clutch gearbox, so these gearboxes are though surprisingly fast. I was driving a DCT probably 2 weeks ago, and this feels almost just as fast. Like, I can't really tell the difference that much. Yeah, it's very quick. Okay, nice. It looks like we have a tractor ahead. Ideal. Perfect conditions for filming a video. We'll be doing 30 miles an hour, chilling behind in a queue of traffic. Perfect. So while I'm in this situation, I might as well tell you a little bit about the car. This has a twin turbocharged 3-litre diesel engine that puts out 306 horsepower, there and thereabouts. The turbo lag, there's not a lot of turbo lag, but there is a little bit from a standstill when you're going from nothing and just trying to zoom away from maybe a busy junction like I was just at. You put your foot down and the car just kind of creeps forward for like a second, and a second can feel like an eternity when you're at a junction like that. Or if you're trying to get out of a junction and there's a small gap in traffic, you kind of like have to preemptively put your foot down and give it a second, because then it's going to start shooting forward. So that's kind of scary a little bit, but otherwise there's plenty of power. When you're up in the rev range around 2,000, 3,000 RPM, it's so fine. You barely notice any turbo lag because it has that torque there immediately. But low down, like really low down, it's kind of scary. The ride on the car is actually quite nice as well, as to be expected from a Range Rover on air suspension. But it's not as soft as some of the other the bigger Range Rovers, because this seems to have, fitting to the name, something a little bit firmer, because you can kind of feel all the little bumps in the road, but they're ironed out very well. It's kind of interesting. I was in a 7 Series recently, and that is something else, I can tell you that. It literally somehow manages to iron out every crease on the road and you barely feel them. This one's a little bit sportier, let's say, a little bit stiffer. Okay, looks like we're going to go for an overtake as well. That was nice. Right, we're going to take a left here. Oh, so we close for... Yeah, the gearbox is really quick when you want to change up. But also another benefit of that suspension being that little bit stiffer is it doesn't roll as much as the old Range Rovers used to in the corners. They used to be impressive, be like a boat trying to go around. Yeah, it looks okay. Oh, jeez, we took that a bit wide. Plenty of power, absolutely no problem to it, and you can feel the torque really pulling you back in the seat, like all the way through the revs. Especially when you go through even the first 4 gears, you kind of sit in the exact same place. You don't get like thrown backwards or forwards. So it's a really, really linear kind of power that it delivers. It's really nice. Now, one thing with the car that I have to say is, if you don't like big cars or you're not used to big cars, this might not be the car for you. I know that sounds pretty obvious, but yeah, this thing does show its weight, especially in the small little towns here in the UK. Like, the little villages here are like tiny. The streets are so small, like it's single lane traffic. So it's kind of scary in those kind of circumstances. And in the city, it definitely doesn't feel like you're in something suited for the environment, let's just say. Even though that's where most of these cars are going to spend their time, sitting in a city, probably in London or in Dublin. Okay, we're in 6th gear now, put my foot down, change the paddle now, down. It's almost instant, it's so fast. That gearbox is proper. It's very, very, very fast. It's impressive as well. It kind of helps this car kind of disguise its weight and size. This thing's about as aerodynamic as an actual brick. steering wheel is so nice. It's the perfect thickness that you can actually get your hand around it. Some steering wheels now these days are just so thick that they just feel kind of odd. I was driving a Ford Ranger yesterday and that had a very thick steering wheel. I could barely get my hands around it. But I think also that kind of helps with the feeling of the car, making it feel lighter, because the steering is actually also quite direct. There's not a huge amount of play. There is a little bit, but there's not a huge amount, nowhere near as much as like the Passat that I was driving the other day. It just goes hand in hand with the car to try and make it feel not as big and as brutish as it actually is. And it feels really refined and kind of relaxed in here. There's no like big theater, it's just all kind of quiet, but I love the sound of the turbos when you start hammering down on the acceleration. They sound so good. You can just hear them spooling up, and then that's pretty much the only sound that you hear. They've done a really good job of refining the sound in here, so it just doesn't sound like you're connected to the road at all, which is kind of a good thing. Again, I love the paddles in this. They're absolutely massive. They go right from the top all the way down to the bottom here. Oh my god, they just feel so good, and it's so much easier to find them, because I find if paddles are on the steering wheel, an X5M just flew by. That's pretty nice. Sometimes when you have the paddles on a steering wheel and you're turning and you want to like change down, especially if it's small paddles, it's really hard to hit. You're like, oh, this side, which side is it on? But in this one, at least they're big, so you can kind of hit it with any part of it and it'll sort you out. Okay, slow down. I don't know if you guys can hear that on the mic. You can just hear the turbo spooling a little bit. Nice. Country roads around here, what do you expect? Instead of struggling for traction there, I didn't feel a single bit of that. Nice, what a considerate driver. Nice, we'll do a little bit of waiting. One kind of thing that is very scary in this car is if there's big puddles on the side of the road and the tires hit them. Because the tires are so big and they're like really being pushed into the ground, you get a lot of kind of a jerk from the steering wheel, which is very kind of scary. So if you're driving one of these and you see a puddle, I would slow down. You probably very well know. Spin out from here. Just brings a smile to your face every time. This thing's fast. It's surprising. This thing is pretty fast. For its size, I'm very impressed. But you just feel so comfortable at speed as well, because it's just kind of going along the road. It's just not too harsh. It's not really skipping as well because of the weight of the car. It is a great cruiser, an absolute great cruiser. The gear changes are really fast. Guys, seriously, this is a fun car to drive, and they're really nice, they're really comfortable. It just kind of ticks so many boxes. I think it's really cool. They're really impressive. But I just want to say thank you very much for watching the video. I really appreciate it. I hope you liked this kind of point of view driving commentary, and let me know if you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe, and I'd appreciate it. I'll see you guys in the next one.